Well, hi, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It's Thursday, February 27th, 2025. This is an update for the All Hazards Consortium Sensitive Information Sharing Environment. It's where we share information across platforms and across organizations so we can let everybody know about what's happening with potential weather impacts going on. And while folks on the East Coast have been enjoying a spring-like sort of weather yesterday, we're in for some changes. You don't want to put those coats away. March is a very fickle month, and we have a couple of cold air pockets that are going to be headed towards our pockets in the mid-Atlantic here. I'll show you that all in just a few minutes. What do I have displayed here? Well, I have a colorful satellite image because I've combined two satellite sectors on the GOES data. And you can see here is the East Coast. We look at this line of clouds here. That's a cold front that's coming through, throwing a few scattered showers through the Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, Virginia area today. Here comes that sunset. Oh, it's getting darker, but the days are getting longer. We're getting more daylight, and soon we'll be turning the clocks ahead for those of you who do that watching this video. But I also have the sea surface temperature data turned on. And it's really cool because in the GOES satellite that's orbiting 22,300 miles up, we can derive, along with other satellite data, we can derive the sea surface temperature information, and it can advance as fast as these images every 10 minutes. It's really spectacular. But what do we notice here? Look at this. Look, that's the loop current coming out of the Caribbean into the Gulf. And look at that, creating that area of warm temperatures. These are sea surface temperatures, not the anomalies. I'm going to show you the anomalies in just a moment. But suffice it to say, the Atlantic basin is warmer than average. Some areas of the Gulf are up to 4 to 5 degrees above where they should be this time of year, and we are under 100 days left until the hurricane season starts on June 1st. We'll be doing a lot of coverage during the hurricane season here, and we're doing some work also with NOAA's Hurricane Research Division and the Oceanic and Atmospheric Research Division of NOAA, where we're trying to transition research into operations, doing more flights of the planes when hurricanes develop. Not too many because of budget restrictions, not too many research-only flights, if any, will be coming this hurricane season. But we are still, NOAA's going to still be flying the NOAA P3 aircraft and the Gulfstream aircraft to fly around hurricanes and get more information on their intensity. That is critical to go into numerical weather prediction. Okay, enough of hurricanes. Let me show you what's happening here. You can see the Caribbean is quite warm right now. And while we're at it, let me show you those sea surface temperature anomalies. And here we are, full screen, and you can see it refreshed right before our eyes here. These are the sea surface temperature anomalies as of yesterday. And anywhere that you see orange or yellow, that is warmer than average. If you see gray areas or blue, that is cooler or colder than average sea surface temperatures. So that's what anomalies are. How far above average or below average are the sea surface temperatures. And broadly, from the Pacific into the Gulf, into the Atlantic and the South Pacific, you can see it's warmer than average. Look at that blue along the equator there. That's La Nina. And we do have a minor La Nina going on. That's what's fueling some of this progressive jet stream and storm patterns that we've been having across the United States here over the course of the last several weeks. Been pretty incredible. But overall, the Atlantic Basin and the Gulf, look at that red area just south of New Orleans. That is much warmer than average. Okay, back to the satellite picture because I want to show you what's going on. This is from the GOES East perspective, but we do have quite a storm that's in the Gulf of Alaska, and I'm going to switch over to the GOES West satellite. Look at this. I turned off the sea surface temperature data on the Goes West satellite here for the point of just showing this storm. Look at that big circulation. That is a very large circulation. And look at this frontal system. This is called an occluded front. And then it stretches down here as a cold front down all the way into the Pacific, way into the Pacific. Here are the Hawaiian Islands right here. So this front is north of the Hawaiian Islands, probably won't impact them too much at all. But look at this. This is what we do call an atmospheric river. And it is anomalous flow for the atmospheric river. And I'm going to show you that too in just a second. Remember the other day I showed you blended total precipitable water. I'm going to show you total precipitable water anomalies. Remember, I just showed you the anomalies for sea surface temperature. Well, we can look at how much moisture is normally in the atmosphere and where are areas that are wetter than they should be or drier than they should be. But in the meantime, this cold front and occluded front is going to be headed up into this is the Aleutian Islands from Alaska, and there's going to be quite an impact here along the Alaskan coastline, and I'm going to show that to you as well in GeoCollaborate up towards Alaska here in just a moment. But as we look at this satellite imagery, this storm is going to go on up into Alaska, and this trail of moisture is going to follow it up into this area, but no atmospheric rivers are expected to impact the West Coast. Now, there is a little low pressure system out here off the coast that is going to impact yet tomorrow Southern California with some scattered showers. Nothing real impactful, but there will be some scattered showers going on around there. Okay, now let me show you the blended total precipitable water product here, and that's what this looks like. So I've put on here that this is a NOAA product, and it's produced every day, every hour, as a matter of fact. This is why we need models and we need the satellite analysis to continue to go. We can monitor the entire world here. And look, here's that strong low pressure system, and it's moving up towards, this is it right here, moving up towards Alaska. So this is it back here 2 days ago. And then it's moving up this way. And you can see the atmospheric rivers. Look at that. Wherever you see yellow, that's anomalously high precipitation or moisture. So look at this, though. There's nothing really headed for the West Coast, and we can validate that with our atmospheric river forecast. Take a look at this. Remember, we show this and we move these points all up and down the West Coast through Western Canada up towards Alaska. There is nothing in the next 7 days. Here we are right here with this vertical bar. No atmospheric river impacts expected in the next 7 days along the West Coast. And that is terrific news. So your guard can come down a little bit. We have tons of snow in the Sierra in many areas, over 6-7 feet of snow in some areas. But let me show you from GeoCollaborate standpoint what the drought situation looks like. This is GeoCollaborate, and I'm going to, let me just zoom out a little bit here. Look at what's going on. I have the drought index that is displayed. This is updated every Thursday, so this is the latest one. Notice, remember, over the weeks and months, we've been talking about atmospheric rivers impacting Oregon, impacting Northern California. There is no drought there, no drought conditions there. But if we go down to Southern California, look at this. We get into drought, and what I want to do is also put on the legend, the drought index legend, so you can see what these colors mean. See in the yellow, this is D0. It's abnormally dry. Okay, no big deal to have abnormally dry, but when you get into the lighter yellow color, this is D1, moderate drought, and that's happening all throughout the valley here in California. And then we get further down to towards Los Angeles, and we're talking about a severe drought in orange, and even closer here, look at this. In parts of LA, an extreme drought. In Southern California, all of this red is extreme drought conditions, and not too surprising in the deserts of Nevada. But look how far this extends. Extends over into New Mexico and also into southwest Texas, and even over towards Austin and San Antonio. Extreme drought going on there, and in south central Texas, they need the rain, and they need it desperately. Look at this. There's abnormally dry conditions extending in all of these yellow areas, and then moderate drought in some pockets. So I'm going to back up here just a little bit to show you where else drought conditions are existing right now. In Montana, extreme drought in this area. Also in Wyoming, pockets of extreme drought. This is not good because we're headed into springtime, and we do need those rains to help with the crops, help to grow feed for the animals, and so we can keep that going safely. And so even up in North Dakota, South Dakota, look at this, pockets of extreme drought and severe drought. Now let's head over to the East Coast for a second, because you would think in the winter we normally get a lot of precipitation. We've had snow. Look at this. Even though Norfolk had 10 inches to 12 inches of snow about a week ago, they are still in abnormally dry conditions. And as we head on up into Maryland, look at this. Moderate drought conditions and even severe drought conditions just east, including Washington, D.C. here, on up the Chesapeake Bay, Anne Arundel County, and Baltimore counties into southern Pennsylvania. This is extreme or severe drought going on. And look at this over in New Jersey. This is extreme drought in the red. So this means chances of fast-spreading brush fires, wildfires, should they develop. And these drought conditions continue all the way up into New England. Look up into Connecticut and Maine and Massachusetts. Drought conditions all up here. So we definitely have a dry pattern that's been happening. And just look at how much of the United States is in drought conditions right now. Even up towards Alaska. Look at this. Let's go up to Alaska. There's some abnormally dry conditions. Now, that's going to be eased a little bit right in here because we do have that storm that I just showed you that is going to be heading up there. So I'm going to turn off the drought monitor, but I do want to turn on the watches, warnings, and advisories. And I'll turn off the legend there for the drought. But look at this. This is a storm warning in effect just off the Alaska coastline here because of that strong low pressure. Remember that strong low pressure that I showed you and what it looks like off the west coast? Here it is. This is the one that I've been talking about here. This big low that's going to be moving on up in this direction. And these strong winds are going to be punching right up. Here, we can get a little bit closer here and look. See what this looks like. Look at that. There's almost like an eye in there, isn't it? These clouds indicate colder air coming around the storm, cold air, and then a dry slot coming right up towards the Alaska coastline here. But again, on GeoCollaborate, this is a storm warning because those winds are going to be coming in 50, 60 miles per hour. So there could be some damage along the coastline. There will definitely be very strong or high waves and a lot of erosion. Now, here are the advisories going on around the country. It's a fairly quiet pattern, at least right now, although the northern Great Lakes here, UP of Michigan, you're going to get clocked by several storms and you're going to get some more snow. That's wonderful to hear, right? Your snow season extends through March into April, but you're going to get that. And so we'll get a little bit closer here because we do have a number of advisories. What are these pink ones? These pink ones are, they have flood watch in effect, also a red flag warning. A red flag warning in effect for potential fires. That is because it's very dry. And we showed you it's still drought conditions going on there. And as we go up into parts of Minnesota, in the Minneapolis suburbs, wind advisory because a cold front's going to be coming through there and usher in some very cold temperatures once again. And here's the Great Lakes dealing with gale warnings these warnings in Lake Superior here. Heavy freezing spray. Wow. Don't want to be on a ship out there when the temperatures plunge into the 20s and teens. You have strong winds kicking up waves. Those waves break against the ships, and that spray freezes immediately on contact with those ships, and it can make them very heavy and tip them over. That's very dangerous there. High wind warnings in effect here in parts of western Minnesota and also eastern North Dakota. We also have advisories in here. This is Winter Storm Severity Index. I'll show you that in just a second. Now, over towards the upper parts of New York State, we do have winter weather advisories in effect. There's some more lake effect snows that are going to kick off, and also in parts of Maine. Now, what about that Winter Storm Severity Index? This is very helpful for the All Hazards Consortium, so we can show where impacts may be due to winter weather. And here we have it. Might as well start right here in the Maine and New York areas. There's going to be minor impacts going on. I do also have the legend for the Winter Storm Severity Index. There we go. So now you can see here in parts of Maine, going to have some minor impacts due to winter weather, but there are going to be pockets because of heavy snow coming off of the lakes once again, some moderate to hazardous driving conditions in this area over the next 1 to 3 days. That's what the Winter Storm Severity Index is really good for, watching where will we have transportation issues, impacts to critical infrastructure over the next 1 to 3 days. And here is Minnesota, and here is North Dakota. So we're going to have impacts because of blowing snow, low visibilities, and treacherous driving conditions as this cold air comes in to parts of North Dakota and Minnesota. Now, I do also want to show you the Great Lakes again, because this is pretty cool. I'm going to take the legend off here for the Winter Storm Severity Index. I'm going to go right over here to the Great Lakes and zoom in. Look at this. Just want to point this out. Look at the Finger Lakes here in New York. And here is Lake Ontario. Here is Lake Erie. And boy, oh boy, look how much of Lake Erie is frozen. You can see cracks in the ice, big cracks. And the winds have been blowing from the northwest to the southeast, so it's blowing the ice away from the shoreline here. So we don't have shore-fast ice right here, but we do have it around Cleveland and on up into towards Erie. But look at this. Let's zoom in even more. Look at the cracks. This is from the NASA satellite. It's the Terra satellite, and the sensor on board is called MODIS. It's the MODIS sensor. This is a satellite that has been incredible. It's been operating well beyond its design life, so we're getting a lot of bonus imagery and data from this satellite because it's lasted a lot longer than it was designed to do. But we can see these high-res images, and we can see where the ice is and where the ice is not. Now, this is why the Lake Effect Snow Machine has cut off. It's been cut off across the Great Lakes, and that's across at least Lake Erie, which is great because it's frozen. Now, look, as we head on into Lake Ontario, it's not frozen. What the heck? Why doesn't this lake freeze, yet this lake right close to it is frozen? Lake Erie is frozen, Lake Ontario is not frozen. That means we get a lot more lake effect snow off of this lake. Now, I want to show you something cool here. Here's Buffalo, okay? So we're going to get in a little bit closer here. Here's Niagara Falls right here, those beautiful falls, and the Canadian side up here. So Niagara Falls, we got drains down in here into Lake Ontario, but I want to show you a cross-section diagram. Why Lake Erie freezes and why Lake Ontario is not frozen. And if you thought because of the depth, you are right. Now check this out. Here is Lake Erie. Look at this. It's not very deep at all, 210 feet deep. Lake Huron, 750 feet deep. A lot of mixing happens when the wind blows. Look at Lake Superior, 1,333 feet deep. That is a very deep lake. And Lake Ontario over here, 802 feet deep. So the shallow lake freezes. And it freezes because it doesn't have as much water to cool. But Lake Ontario, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, and Lake Superior. So that is pretty amazing why they don't freeze. And let's go back here as well to the satellite image and show you what it looks like. So again, deeper Lake Ontario, not frozen. Let's zoom out a little bit. Shallower Lake Erie, frozen. But look at that. The winds get to break up the ice here. And you're thinking, like, over in the diagram, check it out. I'll go back to the diagram here. You see that Lake St. Clair, right here, 572 foot elevation, but that hardly has any. Where is Lake St. Clair? Well, if you're not sure where that is, let me point it out to you. Here is Lake St. Clair, right here. And look, it's frozen. It's close to Detroit. It's not very deep at all, and it is frozen. There's a little bit of opening here because there's a river that it drains right through here, and that is this is the Detroit River that comes right through here, and so we have moving water, and it just doesn't freeze right here because it's moving, but most of, I'd say 99% of Lake St. Clair is frozen. And we'll go back up here to the north a little bit. Look at this. Look at Lake Huron. It is not frozen at all. No, not frozen at all. There's some ice. There's some ice right here. So we do have freezing there. The Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary is up here. But we do have some ice there on Lake Huron, but let's go over to Lake Michigan. Here's Lake Michigan. Look at this, not frozen, but look, close to Chicago, Gary, Indiana. We can zoom in here and look at that ice. So we do have shore-fast ice happening here. Not much on the western side, Waukegan, Evanston, not really much ice there. Racine in Wisconsin, because the northwest winds blow across the lake, and any ice that forms pushes it off to the southeast. And then we can have ice build up here along the eastern side of Lake Michigan. That's here. Here's South Bend, Indiana. They get a lot of lake effect snow. Let me show you here. That's South Bend, Indiana here. Here's Elkhart, Michigan City. But look at that piece of ice. It's a big piece. Satellite imagery. But it's really incredible to be able to go around and just check out how much of the Great Lakes are frozen and what's going on. Now, this was back on the 22nd of February when I could find a day where the lakes were open. Let's go over to the 23rd, the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. So this is today's satellite picture from the MODIS sensor, and you can see the Great Lakes are pretty covered in cloud cover. Okay, well, that's enough of that. I get a little carried away sometimes, but it's pretty cool to show the value of satellite data, why we need these satellites, because we can really see a lot of things, including vegetation, by the way. Look at this. We can go down here into Arkansas, just southwest of Little Rock. We can see the Alicia Mountains there in parts of Arkansas. Things are starting to green up with the warm temperatures. We're going to start to see the pollen really build up as the grasses come back and the vegetation comes back. We can watch that in this high-resolution satellite imagery, which is great. Okay, let's talk about the model data. We showed you the atmospheric river forecast, but now I want to show you the model forecast data for the next several days where we might have some impacts. And it's going to be a pretty low impact several days. Although if you're northern part of the Great Lakes and up towards Maine, you're going to have some impact. So this is what the GFS model looks like. We have some showers moving through the mid-Atlantic and also some light snow moving up through western Maine, but some rain in the southeastern part of the state. And then I'm going to just put this into motion here as we go forward. This low pressure system is called an Alberta Clipper. Thank you, Canada. These clippers come out of Canada and tend to give us quick shots of cold air. And typically they're pretty dry. They don't bring a lot of snow with them, but this one is a little vigorous. You can see it. Watch the snow. It's going to be falling here in the UP of Michigan, upper part of the Great Lakes, and then it takes a little turn. It kind of dries out a little bit, but still brings some light snow to western New England and Maine here. And then this cold high pressure builds in. Not really going to give much in the way of precipitation to the mid-Atlantic states, but over the weekend, we're going to really notice colder temperatures coming in. So this is Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then this high builds in, this high pressure builds in, and that's what's going to happen. I'm going to switch over here to the 12Z model run here so we can show you what's going on. So by Monday morning, we're under some cold temperatures in the east once again. So we'll need those jackets. We will need them. Then another low pressure system develops in the Midwest, but kind of peters out a little bit, and then perhaps brings some showers, maybe some isolated sleet or freezing rain in some of the mountains of West Virginia. That's during the day on Tuesday. And then we have another low pressure system that's going to be pretty vigorous in the Midwest, moving across parts of Missouri. Now, we're going to have to watch this area here on Wednesday into Thursday. I'd say really Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There could be a chance of some severe weather kicking off in the southeast, and we're going to have to watch this very close because this does look like a vigorous low pressure system. The Storm Prediction Center is predicting in their outlook a chance of convective activity, which is pretty far out in the future, so they typically don't do that. But with this vigorous system, it looks like it could kick off some severe weather. But look what happens when the storm moves close to Chicago. We could start to get some very heavy snow in Chicago Wednesday morning as this low moves through, and we'll watch it very closely. This could be a quick hitter, but an intense storm, whether it's rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow. Going to get very windy and stormy in Chicago about midweek. So we'll be watching that. And then this front passes through the East Coast, and look at that precipitation extending all the way from New England down to Florida. It doesn't look like snow down in the Gulf Coast states. You've had your chance at that. You won't forget that for many, many years. But this low then pulls off, and we do get another batch of cold air. And that cold air is going to come down towards Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, and it's going to impact folks there. I'll show you too on the where the cold air is coming from. And then we just kind of cruise along through next week, not this week, but the end of next week. I'm going to stop it there because I do want to show you where the cold air is coming from. This is we've had our dose of warm air. This is Wednesday into Thursday. Now this is today. So we have cold air that's approaching with that clipper system here coming out of Canada, that Alberta clipper. This is the cold air right here. And there's some warm air behind it. These are temperature anomalies at about 5,000 to 6,000 feet in elevation. But look at that. We get a quick hit of cold air coming through during the day tomorrow. And then look at this area of cold air. This is a big batch of cold air. That's going to start coming through Saturday night into Sunday. So in the mid-Atlantic, look at that. There's the front right there. It's going to be coming through early Sunday, late Saturday night. It's going to get windy, and Sunday is going to be cold. This is cold air, and so you're going to need those parkas again. Maybe some scarves as well to head out and take the dog out for a walk in the morning. But the good thing is it's a pretty progressive pattern. It's going to move through pretty quickly. So by Monday, that cold air is going to move out. We're going to get warmer air again. You see that coming in. But look at this. Behind that front, once again, that's the one passing right near Chicago that could give you some pretty intense snowfall coming up next week. We'll watch that one. But this is Wednesday afternoon. And then look what happens. Cold air all the way down to the Gulf states. It doesn't look like it's going to be persistent at all. Look how fast it moves. It's going to be moving out pretty quickly. So I wouldn't worry about any long-term freezes going on. And these are just anomalies in temperature. So colder than average doesn't mean it's going to be freezing there along the Gulf Coast, just colder than average. And then we get a second hit of cold air in the mid-Atlantic come along March 9th or 10th. That's not this weekend, next weekend. What do I call that? You're right, Fantasyland. But I do tend to agree with the movement of air masses, not specific developments of low pressure systems. But these air masses do validate pretty good 7-8 days into the future. So that's it for this update. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. Thanks so much for watching. We're watching and we're keeping an eye on the Atlantic Basin as well. We're still far away. June 1st is the start of hurricane season. Thanks for watching. Please have yourself a good weekend coming up. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll likely have another update. We've also been watching red tide developing and persisting along the Florida southwest coast. We're going to bring Dr. Ellen Prager back either tomorrow or on Monday to talk about red tide and how we can monitor that with satellite imagery. And what does that mean for those folks, those of you living along Florida's southwest coast? I know red tide can be cause very difficult breathing conditions, and you definitely don't want to go swimming in that type of weather. So I'm Dave Jones, Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. Thanks so much for watching. Please have yourself a good rest of the evening. Watch out for yourself, and also check on your neighbors. Ask them how they're doing. They really do appreciate that. Whether they can verbalize that or not, they do appreciate you paying them a little attention. Have yourself a good night.